Hi, my name is Tina, and this is Knitting Blooms, episode number 117. Hi, and welcome to the show. This will probably be a shorter than normal episode. Well, at least shorter than my bi-weekly podcasts have been in the last few weeks. Because really, I haven't done a huge amount of knitting in the last 2 weeks. I've been dealing with life issues and walking a lot. This week I have been trying to get in 200,000 steps in 7 days. That's like close to or right around 100 miles a week in 7 days. And my goal is to continue this for the next 8 weeks. Well, now the next 7 weeks. I had this goal back in March, but just after I made this goal to do 200,000 steps a week, my treadmill died. And after that, I ended up having some injuries and whatnot, so that whole thing went to the wayside, and I've now kind of picked it back up again, and I'm going to try to make it happen. So, although I haven't really worked on larger projects too much this week, I have worked on socks, which we will get to when I get to that part of the show. Anyway, as always, I would like to start by thanking those people who have made donations to the podcast in the last couple of weeks, and that is Robin and Sally, and we are now up to $195 of donations for the hosting fee. Now, I just got word yesterday, actually maybe this morning, that Barmaids is going to pick up the cost for the hosting for this year. So, I've basically met my goal. Now, I'm not going to mention donations again in the future because I've met the goal, but by all means, if you feel like you want to donate to help with shipping costs and that sort of thing, please feel free. However, since Barmaids has decided to use part of their sponsorship to pay for the hosting fee, I am still looking to pay back not necessarily pay back in dollars, but to give back to those people who made donations. Now, prior to this, I had said that I was going to do a drawing and pick a winner for a pattern. But I've been giving it some more thought, and I'm really thinking about doing supporter buttons or something like that that I can send out to everybody who has made a donation. So I'm going to be working on that over the next couple of weeks. And I will be getting in contact with everybody who has ever made a donation to the podcast. This might take me some time because I think I've had the donate button on the blog for probably almost as long as I've had the podcast, which is over 2 years. And what I'm going to do is go back through all of my PayPal receipts and whatnot and contact all of those people who have ever made a donation. And it's going to be difficult because in the midst of all of any donations, I've also received money for patterns. So if you've ever donated, please watch for an email from me, because what I'll do is I will email your PayPal account. I'm going to go through, I don't know if I'm going to start from backwards and go forwards or what exactly, but I am going to get in contact with everybody so that I can send you a button and possibly some additional goodies to go along with that button. Now I have to order the buttons first, design and whatnot, but that'll take at least a week to get that done, and then contacting everybody will take quite some time. But I do want to show that I do really appreciate everybody who has shelled out some money to help host the podcast. And now that Barmaids has taken that upon themselves, then I don't really need to have donations to the podcast. But again, like I said, if you want to help pay for shipping costs, because I still pay quite a bit of money in shipping costs every month as well. So thank you, Barmaids. And we will talk more about Barmaids. We aren't going to do a drawing this week. I had thought about doing the drawing for Barmaids this week, but I think I had said that it was going to be on the next podcast. So we're going to go ahead and keep it at that. So you might notice behind me some of the shelves might look a little different, or maybe they don't. I did some reorganizing last weekend. Was it last weekend? I think it was the weekend after I did the podcast. And I reorganized some stuff because my cabinets were full and I had all my stuff from Stitches to put away. So I went through and I pulled out a lot of the acrylics that were for charity knitting, and I bagged those up in trash bags. I'm not going to get rid of them. I just wanted to get them out of my cabinets, free up some prime real estate for my good yarn. So I did that. I also there's some yarns that I probably will get rid of, or I probably will tuck away for yarn bombing and that sort of thing. But I did reorganize quite a bit, and like I said, some things only got moved slightly, like pushed one way or the other, and some things got moved from completely different shelves. But I found things that I forgot that I had. I found a sweater's worth of Sundero that I forgot I had ordered a couple years ago. And just looking at the different sock yarns and stuff and remembering, oh yeah, I forgot that I bought that. So my plan is the next time that I go to any kind of event like Stitches or Rhinebeck or Maryland Sheep and Wool, I'm going to sit down in front of my cabinets and look at everything and figure out what I have. You know, I have everything in Ravelry. All of my yarn is in Ravelry, and I love to look at my yarn there. However, sometimes it's difficult to really separate which ones are sweaters worth, which ones are one skein for socks or shawl or what have you. So it's nice just to open up the cabinets and just sit in front of them and check everything out. And I have been asked numerous times to give you a tour of all the shelves in my cabinets behind me. And I will do that at some point in the near future. I don't know that I will pull out, I'm not going to pull out every skein, but I might just kind of give you a bird's eye view, like a more up-close view of each individual shelves with the doors open, so you can kind of get a better feel for what's in there. And maybe I can pull out a couple, and then maybe once I have that bird's eye view where you can see up close, then you can kind of contact me and say, oh, I'd really like to see this skein up close or whatever, and then I can kind of pull that out or whatever and show you after you've seen the walkthrough of my yarn cabinets. So that was quite fun. I really enjoyed that, and like I said, I found things that I had forgotten that I had, and I put things more to the forefront of my mind as to what I'm going to knit next and so forth. So that was a lot of fun. I have also seen that a number of people have switched over to the new podcast feed. When everything was going through Blip, I could never really see how many people were actually subscribed to the iTunes feed. But now with FeedBurner, I can see how many people are subscribed to the iTunes feed. So I can see that there's a bunch of people that have switched over. If you have any questions on how to do that, just let me know. But what you should be able to do is just delete the podcast in your iTunes or your Downcast or wherever you watch your podcast. Just delete the podcast and then research for the Knitting Blooms podcast. It will come up, and when you click and subscribe to that one, you'll get the whole new feed. So it should be that easy, and I know that a number of people have said that that's all they've had to do. There hasn't been any problems. So you should be able to do that. And if you have any questions, please feel free to get in contact with me, and I'll do everything that I can to help you out with that. I'm still working on updating the Bloomingknitter blog and the Knitting Blooms blog with the videos. Now those blogs, the Bloomingknitter and the Knitting Blooms blogger, have links to the Blip feeds. So even if you go to those blogs, even if you watch from those particular blogs, you will still see videos on the episodes, but they are going to the Blip feed. And if I ever get kicked off of Blip, those will drop off. But I am still trying to get the feeds linked to the WordPress or VideoPress feeds, so that if and when Blip ever cancels me, the videos will still be on those blogs. So let's jump into knitting this week. I haven't worked on the sock yarn blanket or the lace infinity scarf. Now the sock yarn blanket, as I've told you before, is a long-term project, and I probably will only show you the project when I finish up a complete row. Well, the last time I showed it to you, I had finished up a complete row, and I haven't touched it since. However, I'm getting in my mind that at some point in the very near future, and possibly at Knittin' in the Mitten, I am just going to focus on that project alone. I want to really just try and hammer out a bunch of squares, and actually Knittin' in the Mitten would probably be a really good spot to do that. I can take the blanket and a bag or a sack or whatever of the skeinlets that I have, and just work on that project exclusively. However, I'll probably still take socks, but that's an idea about just taking that one project to Knittin' in the Mitten and working on that exclusively, or maybe taking that sock yarn blanket and working on that at the office. I'm not really sure, but I know I want to get back to doing some squares because it has been sitting for quite some time. And the Lace Infinity scarf is a scarf that I'm doing for my mother-in-law for Christmas, and it just really hasn't seen any attention lately. I don't know. I haven't. I don't have that much more work to do on it. Probably about a foot to 2 feet, which it goes very quickly because it's an Aran weight yarn, but it just hasn't been in the forefront of my mind. But I did finish a project this week. And I almost forgot to show you because I didn't technically finish it, because I left it like this because I want it to remind me that I have to do a tutorial. I finished my socks. These socks are, and I think I took the label out of here, but they're, the yarn is C. Jane Knit. Here's the bit that's left. And this yarn was gifted to me by Judy. And I finished my socks. This is where I was on this particular sock last time you saw it. I was before the heel. and I finished it off. Now, one of the reasons that these are done is because I've been knitting while I walk. I think I've mentioned this before, but I do bounce on the Bosu ball, or kind of walk. The Bosu ball, if you don't know what it is, it's a kind of like a half an exercise ball. It has a flat side and then the ball that goes up and around. Well, I stand on the ball part. I keep the flat part on the floor. I stand on the ball part, and I just kind of move my feet like this. And you have to hold, be balanced and, use your core muscles and whatnot while you're on it. So that's what I do for walking, because it's not hard on my feet. The balls of my feet, when I was doing regular walking or standing in place and walking, the balls of my feet would eventually get really sore. But on the ball, I don't feel that soreness. So I stand on the ball and I just kind of walk in place. And I can stand there, walk, and knit at the same time, which is why socks are going so quickly these days. So these are done. Here's the other one. This one was also before the heel last time. So I just have to do the bind off, and that's the tutorial that I was going to do. I realized, I think it was earlier this week, somebody had asked me what bind off I use for my socks, and I always use the the surprisingly stretchy bind off. And I had thought that I had already done a tutorial on this, but apparently I didn't. So this is my reminder that before I cast this off, I want to do that tutorial. Now, I probably won't do the tutorial on these socks because it is on size 0 and it's kind of a funky yarn, and I want you to be able to really see what I'm doing. So I will probably knit up a larger swatch to show you, and I will knit it up in a knit 1 or knit 2 purl 2 ribbing so that I can show you that, because you have to do different the knits and the purls you have to do a little bit differently. So I have just finished these, and like I said, I'm just going to do the bind off, but again, I want to make sure that I do that tutorial first. So that's my finished object this week. And the next thing is my works in progress, and my new works in progress. So I've been working on the featherweight cardigan, and I can't remember where I was the last time. Oh yeah, I was, before I had not separated for the sleeves yet, so I have done that much since then, about 5 inches. Okay, but I've also joined for this sleeve because I just figure that if I wait until I have knit the body all the way down to go back and do the sleeves aren't going to be as fun. So I've put my body stitches on this, basically this try-on, it's called a relay line, and it's made by Archie Ware. It's actually 60 inches, and you can use this for to put your stitches on, to try on your garment, or let me see if I can, or you can use it as a kind of like a lifeline type of thing. And what's cool about this is, on one end you have what looks like, it's not really, it's like a needle, but it's also bent. You see how that's bent there? And it's just a short little needle attached to a plastic cord, and on the other end is a stopper. So, and there's a hole in this. I wonder if that has to do with anything. I don't know. Anyway, so my stitches, my body stitches are on that right now. So they are sitting there because I needed my needle for the arm. So I've picked up my stitches for the arm, and as I mentioned before, I increased my stitches. So what I did was I followed the pattern just as it was written, and I kept increasing down until I got the number of stitches for the front. And then when I got the number of stitches for the front, then I continued to increase for the arm, but not for the body. and it seems to have worked fine. I can look at it and see where the body stitches stopped, the body increases stopped, and the arm stitches continue to increase, but it's really not going to make that much of a difference. But now what I have to do, and then I also, when I added stitches, when I cast on, or when I joined my stitches, or when I picked up the stitches, I'll get it right here in a minute. I picked up more stitches than what was called for in the pattern because I needed to close up some holes. In fact, I still see a little bit, but I think it's just because the stitches need to be pulled in the ends. But I picked up more stitches than were called for in the pattern, and then I decreased down real quickly right underneath the arm, just so that there was no holes. But also because I have more stitches than what the pattern calls for, I need to decrease more rapidly than what the pattern calls for. So I had to do a little bit of math. I'm trying to make the sleeves the same length, but still reduce down quickly so that they're tight around my forearm when it gets there and whatnot. So I think it'll work out fine. I haven't worked on this project all that much because it's one of those things that I can't really work on this while I'm walking because it's a little bit bigger. But I have been working on it when I'm sitting still. One thing that happened this week, and let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can remember which side it was on. I think it was on this side. I was sitting here looking at my my knitting, and I have pictures which I will try and post in here. But I was sitting here looking at my knitting, and all of a sudden I realized way down here. Okay, so the top. This is the top, and it's worked down. Way up here actually. I noticed that there was a stitch that looked like it was split, the yarn, and I probably would have left it the way that it was. However, because this yarn is already thin, a thinner fingering weight yarn, I was worried about the integrity of the yarn holding up. So what I did was I looked and I dropped down the stitches that that appeared to be split. Well, when I dropped them down, once I got to that row, I realized that it wasn't a split stitch, but I knit the stitch and then I split it and knit it again, and I had done an increase. So I couldn't exactly just pick up one stitch and ladder it back up again. I had to ladder up 2 stitches because it would have looked really bad. The stitches would have been way too loose, and I would have had to done all kind of finagling to get that out. Now I'm going to show you. I've lost it again. Let me look at it from this angle. I'm going to show you up close to see if you can see. But right there, you might be able to see, and I'm going to show you, maybe if I show you from this angle. What I ended up doing was I picked up a stitch and I knit it through the back loop right there. And I knit it through the back loop so that I could continue the stitches up. Well, then that left me with one extra stitch in my body, and I just decreased it down on the next row. Because really, that was before the arm, before I separated for the arms, or just thereabout, and I was not going to go through the hassle of trying to rip it back and then pick up the stitches for the arms and continue ripping it back, and then it just was going to be such a disaster. Well, not necessarily a disaster, but I would have lost a lot of time knitting it. A lot of time that was knit. So yeah, I'm going to show you one more time. You can just barely see where you see that crossed over stitch right there. That is where I twisted the stitch, or twisted the bar, and still laddered it up. And it looks fine. I mean, really, nobody's going to be looking at my sweater that closely. And if they are, they need to back up a bit. So I think it's going to be fine. I'm not too worried about it. I don't think it shows. I think the variegation of the yarn is going to disguise it a little bit. And I'm just moving forward with it. Like I said, on the sleeve, hopefully I will have one sleeve done pretty quickly, and then I can do the other sleeve. And then once the sleeves are done, the body is going to go super duper quick, and then I can pick up for the band. And again, this yarn is CJ Kopek Integrity, and I love the colors. The colors are fabulous. So the colors are one of the main things that has kept me going on knitting this project. I just love it. So yeah, so that's the featherweight, and it's coming along. I have 4 skeins that I'd like to use for the sweater, and then another skein that I'd like to make socks with. And what I did was I was working with 2 skeins for the body, and once I got to about where I am now, I broke one of those skeins off and joined in a 3rd skein and was knitting down. And then once I got a couple more rows in, after I kind of blended them in, I dropped the original skein, the first skein, off and joined in the 4th ball, because I want to use those first 2 skeins for the arms, because I'm nervous that the other 2 skeins might be vastly different. So if I use the same skeins that were up at the top for the arms, then I think it should be fine. So I have what's left of the first 2 skeins, and then I have what I had ripped out from the vanadium that I can use for the sleeves, and so that's going to be perfect. And I think I have more than enough yarn for this project. So that is the featherweight cardigan. Okay, so the next project is the Crochet Kitty, which I had hoped was completed by now. It has been at a standstill for a while. After I last recorded, I mentioned that I can't remember if I had put the eyes in or not at the last recording, but I did put the eyes in since then, and I did the nose. However, I don't really like the positioning of the eyes. Let me show you the picture in the book. In the book, the eyes are much closer to the nose area, and I have my eyes way up here. And I guess I just wasn't paying attention to where the eye placement was when I was putting the eyes in. I was looking at the head as a whole and not thinking. So I'm not real happy with the eyes. And I don't think that there's a way to take the eyes out once they're in. So I'm just going to knit a new head, which really, it doesn't take much time at all. So I'm just going to knit a new head. But I do have a body and some legs. My legs are a little deformed a little bit. This foot's a little bit bigger than this foot. But really, it's a stuffed toy. It's going to be fine. I mean, technically, I probably could be fine with the head, but I just think the eyes are just way too far up there. I mean, they're where the ears should go. So the head's not that big of a deal. I'm just gonna reknit it. But yesterday I finished up the first leg. I had knit part of the leg. I think it was about right there on the first leg, and I just had that much more to go, so I knit that part up and sewed up that, and I'm like, I still have time. I'm gonna knit the other, or crochet the other leg. And so I did the second leg, and then I put them on the body. And actually I put the one leg on, can't even remember which leg it was first, but whatever leg I put on first, I liked the placement, and then I put the second leg on, and it was totally on wrong. So I had to take it off and redo it, because I don't do a lot of toys, so I'm not used to the sewing on arms and appendages and whatnot. So I have a body with 2 legs and a head, but again, the head's gonna be redone. And then once the head's redone, the arms, 2 arms, a tail, and 2 ears is gonna be pretty quickly. So I'm hoping that this is complete by the next time. Really, I mean, it's not rocket science, but because I'm not used to doing these types of things, it's a little bit more challenging. Plus, I have to follow the instructions line by line, and to do that, you have to be focused. You can't just be watching a program and knitting away like I can on my featherweight or my socks or whatever. So that's been part of the problem, is that you have to follow the pattern line by line. But I am hoping to start another toy as soon as I'm finishing this. So finished with this one. So I want to get this one finished up so I can move forward, because I have quite a bit of toys on my, whoops, there goes the head. Roll away head. But because I have quite a few toys on my agenda, or my knitting to-do list before Knitopia 2014. I'm just dropping everything now. So the next project is a project that I started. And I really should not have started this project, but at the time, I just needed some totally brainless stuff. And I could have picked up my socks, but I think my hands were getting tired from knitting on the small needles, and I just needed some worsted weight, bigger needles to work on. So I cast on Sammy's log cabin blanket. And this is the same yarn that I used for the community blanket, and it is garter stitch. And boy, I love this yarn in stockinette, but boy, this garter stitch is even more squishy. She's gonna love it, because really one of the reasons that I went ahead and cast this on was because she was trying to steal my blanket. I mean, literally, I would put it on and I would have it over my legs for 5 minutes, and she'd want to come sit on my lap. And we know cats have claws, at least all mine do, and she's kneading in it, and some of the stitches got a little snagged, and I just don't want that blanket to get messed up, so I'm going to knit her one that she can just snag and pull the stitches, and if it gets all ratty, that's okay, because it's her blanket. So I started this. Actually, let me see if I can reach it without knocking the lights over. But actually, they came out, Premier Yarns came out with new colors. And I got this color. I had this color, which I was going to use, which is fine. But then they came out with this caramel color. I don't know what they call it. Oh, they call it cappuccino. So I got this color too. I think I ordered 6 skeins or something like that. So new color. Also, they have a new color of pink too. Remember that shocking pink that I was going to make my blanket with? Well, they have another pink, a very nice pink that's not quite so bright. I only ordered a sample, and I can't really get to that one right now because it's in the box below this other box. But I'll show it to you when I start that blanket. But I need to get Sammy's blanket done first before I can start my own blanket. But yeah, they have a couple new colors. I ordered a new yellow and also a new pink that I'm going to use in my blanket. The pink is, I think it's called geranium. And it's a very nice raspberry kind of pink. It's very pretty and not so shockingly bright. And it will go fabulous with the green. But yeah, so I ordered this one, and I've got this one, the cream, the purple, a dark brown, and also this turquoise that I'm going to kind of mix and match. And I'm doing the log cabin, but I'm probably not going to follow the pattern layout and square placement specifically, but the pattern in general. So that is Sammy's log cabin blanket. And the last project that I've been working on this week is more socks. It seems like lately I've been completing a pair of socks every 2 weeks. Every time I record, I have had a new pair of socks. And like I said before, that's mostly because I'm knitting plain stockinette socks when I'm walking. So, I have 2 socks that are already past the heel on both of them. And it is a self-striping yarn. And I'm all twisted here. And I love this yarn. This yarn is Indulgence, and it's made by Knitting Fever, and I don't know if it is still available or if it's discontinued. I think I got this particular skein from a D-stash, and if I didn't know what the content was, I would seriously think it was cashmere. I am really concerned about how well these socks are going to wear because this yarn is so soft. The content is 75% extra fine merino wool and 25% nylon. And the nylon should make it stronger, but boy, are these socks soft. I mean, this yarn, I really didn't realize how soft the yarn was when it was in the ball, but once I started knitting it, I'm like, oh my gosh, these are going to be heaven on my feet. Amazing. So, like I said, I have 2 socks. These color repeats are pretty long. You can see they're about 2.5 inches. For the repeat, which is kind of cool. So I didn't really specifically try to make them match, but it just so happened that this one, they pretty much are matchy, except for this one has just a tiny bit of pink at the bottom, and this one doesn't. But, you know, so it's a couple rows off, but really they pretty much match pretty well. But after knitting with this yarn, I decided to go over and check Ravelry, and I found another colorway that is pink and green. So, and it was on D-stash, and so I ordered that this week, and it was only $10 for the ball, so really good deal. In fact, this one was $16.50. I don't know if that's what I paid, because I'm pretty sure that I got this on D-stash, but this was $16.50 retail with the price tag right there. But, and it says with aloe, I'm not sure, I don't know how that feels, but anyway, they're really, really soft. I am knitting these toe up, my basic pattern, 64 stitches on size 0s. Love this yarn. I'm so glad that I found that other colorway and have it coming to me. So, and like I said, these will probably be done. I mean, these are more than half done already, so these will more than likely be finished by the next time I record. And then I'll be picking more socks to knit. In fact, I think next time, I don't know, I'm toying with the idea about modifying my basic sock pattern to include heel flaps for toe up and cuff down. I don't know. I'm toying with that. If I do it, I might modify the one for yeah. I'm just thinking about that because I have never made a heel flap sock that I like, that has fit me well. I think I only have 2 pairs of socks that have a heel flap, and neither one of them really fit me that well. But maybe I just need to tweak my numbers and whatnot. So that's been in the back of my mind for a while. What else? So those are my whips. Spinning, I have done a little bit of spinning. I have worked on the Fiber Nymph Polar Silk. I'm on the second half of the 4th braid. I haven't done too much this week. Last week I went to spinning group and I finished up the first half of the 4th braid and I started the second half, but I'm probably I might be about halfway through the second half of the 4th braid. I have done a little bit of spinning on the loop bump, but not significant progress. I haven't done any spinning on the drop spindle at all, and I have done a little bit of the Into the World multi at the office, but really not significant progress on that either. Next up, the next VKN, we had a fabulous time last week on the VKN on Saturday night. Met several new people and got to connect with some people that I had already known. So that was a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. And I'm really looking forward to just continuing them every 2 weeks and just meeting new people and reconnecting with the people that have come in before and whatnot. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The next one is going to be Saturday, September 7th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, I'll post more information next week to remind you and whatnot. I mentioned already that I'm not going to do the barmaids drawing this week. I think I had said that I was going to do the barmaids drawing, and then no, I think I had already said that I was going to do the barmaids drawing on the next podcast, not this one, but the next one. Well, I've also decided to put off the drawing for the Knitopia stuff bags, because there are still a ton of people that are posting to that thread. Every single day there's 10, 15 posts. So I'm going to put that off for another 2 weeks as well, to give more people opportunity, because I know sometimes you can't watch podcasts right as soon as they come out. I mean, I know I've been watching podcasts from the beginning of August this week. Here it is, the end of August, and I'm watching things from the beginning of August. So there's a few things that I've missed out on. I missed out on the Stockinette Zombies birthday kits and whatnot. A few different things. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that thread open for another 2 weeks and do those drawings on the next time I record a regular episode. We still have the contest going on for the iTunes comments, where you go out and you post a comment on Knitting Blooms podcast on iTunes, and I will do the next drawing. Now, I have in my notes September 7th, but this whole 5 Saturdays in August has totally screwed me up. So the next time I record, which is going to be around the 12th or the 13th of September, I will draw for that as well. So next time we will have 3 drawings. We will have the Knitopia stuff bags, the barmaids drawing for a travel pack, and we will have the iTunes comments. And again, the iTunes comments, you put a comment out on iTunes, and I'll pull all the names off and put them on little slips of paper and then draw that on air. I've already had one person contact me from Australia, I think it was, that I'm going to put her name in there, and any of the ones from US and Canada, I will go and look up. But if you are in a foreign country other than Canada, please contact me and let me know if you put in a comment, because I can't go to every single country to see if there's a comment. So contact me. I will make sure I go over to that country, pull your iTunes ID, and add your name to the list. In addition to the iTunes comments for the Knitting Blooms blog, in September, you will have an opportunity to have more opportunities to win a pattern by sharing the love with other podcasters. So what you do, starting September 1st, you go over to any of your favorite podcasts, Knitting Blooms not included because we're doing that separately, any of your other favorite podcasts, and enter a comment. Then come over to the thread, which I will set up before September 1st. Hopefully I'll remember. And then post in the thread which podcast, link to the podcast or the podcaster group on Ravelry if you can. Share your comment. Yeah, as much information as you can provide, so that other people can find the podcast if they don't already know about it and whatnot. So that will be a prize of a giftable pattern on Ravelry, $10 or less, in the month of September. So September 1st through September 30th. On September 30th, I will either cut it off, or I don't know when the next podcast after the 30th is going to be, but I will either cut it off on the 30th or I'll leave it open until I record the next podcast. So that is September. Also, starting in September, we have a coupon code from North Cabin Fiber Arts, And the reason that we're having this coupon code is because in November and December, we are going to do a Cal with North Cabin Fiber Arts with all of her fibers and yarns. So the coupon code is Knit Blooms 2013, and you get 10% off between September 1st and October 31st. And then November 1st, we can cast on or start spinning or whatever. So get out there to the North Cabin Fiber Arts, North Cabin Fiber Arts, or maybe it's North Cabin Fiber Crafts. See, I thought that it didn't sound right. I think it's North Cabin Fiber Crafts. So get out there and buy some fiber or some yarn or whatever so that you can join us for the knit along, spin along, crochet along in November and December. All finished objects with her yarn will be up for prizes in the thread. I believe she's also going to provide a $1 thank you coupon for everybody who places an order, so you get $1 off your next order. And there will be plenty of prizes. I'm going to throw some prizes in from her. I'm going to order some stuff from her shop. I think she's going to donate some stuff. So get over there and get some stuff ordered. But the coupon code is not good until September 1st. So check that out come September 1st. And the last thing for today I want to talk about is for charity. A Texas Yarn contacted me, and actually I think she contacted me like a couple days after I recorded last time, so you've probably heard this on many other podcasts already. But I did want to still get the word out for her. I'm going to get my iPad here so I can show you a picture, because I downloaded my copy today. I've been meaning to do it, and this was a perfect reason to do it. But she has created a pattern, a sock pattern, because her friend was diagnosed with bladder cancer. And what she's done is she's designed this pattern, and she is going to donate 50% of the proceeds to the Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network. My mouth isn't working to say the word properly. So here are the socks. They are kind of a lacy, cable-y goodness kind of sock. And there you go. The best that you can see with a iPad. But it looks like a pretty simple pattern. I think that most knitters will be able to do this. It's only a 4-row repeat, so there's not a huge amount of stuff to learn. I didn't really read through the pattern completely, but it looks pretty straightforward. So go out there and purchase this pattern. It's called, I'll tell you what it's called, A Little Help from My Friends. And I will link it in the show notes so that you can go out and purchase the pattern or send it to a friend, so that 50% of the proceeds will go to the Bladder Cancer I can say this word, I just can't say it right now. Anyway, in honor of her friend Betty. So go and check out that pattern. Again, I will link it in the show notes. And that's all I've got for you this week. I hope you enjoyed the show this week. You can always reach me on Ravelry as Bloomingknitter. You can reach me on the blog at knittingblooms.com. You can also email me at knittingblooms@gmail.com. I am on, Instagram, Plurk, Twitter as Bloomingknitter. I'm on Google Plus, but you might have to email me if you want me to add you to your circle, or PM me on Ravelry, because I don't add everybody. I get lots of random people friending me or circling me on Google Plus. I'm on Facebook. You can check out the Knitting Blooms Facebook page. I'm also on MyFitnessPal and Fitbit, So if you want to come and challenge yourself and try and catch up with me. This week I have been trying to catch up with my friend from the Biggest Loser Club. She's always one step ahead of me. I think currently I'm at 202 steps for this week, and she is still ahead of me. Let's see where we are right now. She'll probably still be way ahead of me by the time I go to bed, because I'm not planning on doing any more steps tonight. Yeah, I'm at 202,955, and she is at 213. So, Julia, I'm still trying to catch you. I know she doesn't watch this podcast, but I've been trying to catch her for a week, and I think there was a couple times that I passed her, and then by the time I went to bed, she passed me. I don't know. I don't think I'll ever catch up with her. She's doing fabulously. I think she's lost over 40 pounds or over 50 pounds now, so she's doing great. So anyway, I've rambled on enough. I hope you guys, excuse me, have a great holiday weekend, and happy knitting.
No matter what time of year it is, your feet can be sandal ready. We all know there are hundreds of thousands of feet that are in need of some serious help, and Oh for Feet's Sake can help. Oh for Feet's Sake is a solid foot moisturizer, and Barmaids uses the perfect combination of skin-loving oils, including essential oils, butters, and ingredients ideal for your feet. You will be amazed at how quickly Oh for Feet's Sake can turn your feet from rough and dry to smooth and soft. Just follow the instructions, and in less than 2 weeks, you will see drastic improvement to your feet. You can purchase Oh for Feet's Sake at www.bar-maids.com. There are 2 scents, Soft Vanilla and Peppermint Plus.